that this road has been very hard. And yet here you are, building this magnificent family.
What's going on in that head of yours?
Something little B said it. He said, Dad, they're not afraid of anything. But I am. I'm afraid of losing someone I love.
Continuing to prove my theory that Furious 7 really should have been the last of these films. On this edition of Talking About the Movies, we're talking about how the Fast and Furious series continues to chug along as the wheels keep coming off the car, and this is the end result of it. This is Fast X. And on that positive note, welcome to another edition of Talking About the Movies. Today we're talking about the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is, of course, Fast and Furious 10, aka Fast X. Before we get into this new film, I might as well bring up my thoughts on the other movies in the series, and excluding the spin-off film. The first Fast and Furious movie, I think, is fun for what it is. It's a product of the time period. It delivers what it promises. It's ridiculously fun, over-the-top goofiness. But it is a ton of fun. Too Fast, Too Furious is not a very good movie, but it's one of those so bad it's good type of movies. Like it's a film that you can watch and be like, this is not a good film, but I'm still having a good time watching it. Tokyo Drift probably is the worst of the series, honestly. Like, that's the one I feel like that does not really have a whole lot there to really make it worth it. It just feels like a film that feels kind of empty because you don't have anybody from the other films back for that one. Once they started bringing everybody back with Fast and Furious, the series really began to turn around again. I think Fast and Furious, the fourth one, is a really good movie. It got panned when it came out at the time, but it was a big hit. But I think once they got everybody back together, it just felt kind of normal. Like, again, it felt like a good fun ride in that case, and that led to some really good movies. After that, Fast 5, which was gonzo fun, over the top, but it was a blast. Fast and Furious 6, not quite as good, but still very enjoyable. And then Furious 7, the first one that came out after Paul Walker died. The series really should have ended on that film. That film should have been the last film of the series, but Universal basically said, this thing made a ton of money, so we're going to keep this going. And then we get to The Fate of the Furious, which is the second worst of the series for me, and it really is just because they brought in, it was just a retread of Fast and Furious 6. Like, it was literally the same plot as Fast and Furious 6, except instead of, was it Letty that got, yeah, Letty. Instead of Letty being the bad guy in that one, it's Don that's the bad guy in that one. And a terrible villain in Charlize Theron, which they apparently love so much they keep bringing her back because she was in Fast 9, which is better than the original, is better than Fate of the Furious, but not by that much. And Hobbs and Shaw, I really liked Hobbs and Shaw. I thought Hobbs and Shaw was a ton of fun. I think it's the best one we've gotten since Furious 7. And so we come to Fast X, and I want to specify this by saying that I know that when I did my summer movie preview a couple weeks ago, I really was not looking forward to this. I thought the trailers didn't look that interesting. I hated the fact that they brought back characters I really didn't like, but I said I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I stick by that. And I feel like I have to say that because this week, at the time of recording this, Indiana Jones came out at Cannes, and there was a whole bunch of bad reviews for it, and everybody's already trashing it. It's just like, well, it's already bad because it showed up at Cannes and nobody liked it. It's just like, it's not that nobody liked it. It's just like, it's Cannes. Like, the Cannes Film Festival does not really specify a film that's going to be, the Cannes Film Festival critics are not the same as American film critics. That's why I'm holding any judgment towards Indiana Jones until the movie actually comes out. I'm still looking forward to seeing it. And not only that, you have people who are trashing on the new Pixar film Elemental because, it's going to make less than $30 million at the box office. It's already a flop. It's just like, you don't know that. Like, you really don't know that. It's just like, I'm beginning to realize that my purpose of doing this becomes more and more important because voices like mine need to be out there to give things like this a chance, like give it a benefit of a doubt. Like it's like what Roger Ebert said. You have to give a movie its day in court. And with Fast X, I wasn't looking forward to it, but I told myself I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give them a chance to prove themselves. I'm gonna give them a chance to really give me a chance. Just give me something that will make me say, I'm glad I gave this movie a chance. And Needless to say, it didn't do that. So, yeah, let's talk about all the problems that Fast X has. For one thing, this movie has an over $340 million budget, and when you're spending a lot of money on a series like this that has pretty much past its prime, honestly, you really need to have something to really get people back in these movies. And there was just nothing in this movie. Like, it's weird. Like, since Fury 7, this series has just been getting more and more repetitive and more not. It's like they keep throwing stuff at the wall, but I'm not really getting excited about this movie. It's draining me pretty much. Like, every movie that I see, it's draining me of my excitement for this because it's the same thing over and over and over again, except the budgets get bigger and bigger and bigger. But bigger doesn't always mean better. You need to have something to really make it stand out on its own. Like, the Mission Impossible movies are the best example of that. Mission Impossible, the Mission Impossible movie started off good with the first movie, then the second film kind of tanked it up, was not a good success. Then Mission Impossible 3, once they started realizing that the films can't just be about Tom Cruise, it has to be about Tom Cruise and the team, is because that's the purpose of Mission Impossible. Each of those films got better and better and better, and Mission Impossible Fallout was probably one of the best action movies we've had in a long time. And that's a series that's been around for 25 years now. And, they get better and better and better, and you can tell that these people are actually doing the stunt work here. You can still tell that Tom Cruise is still doing the stunt work here, like and in Top Gun Maverick too. Those movies work. Even is for films that have been around for a long period of time. But with Fast X, it just feels like they just keep throwing stuff at the wall, and they just want you to. They keep throwing stuff at the wall, and they're like, anything sticking? No, keep trying. I've never seen a movie. This is the first time I've seen a movie where, you know how AI is the big thing right now. That's the thing that the writers are fighting against in the writer's strike. I've never felt like a movie was written by AI more than this movie. This film does not feel like it's written by 3 writers here. There's 3 writers involved in this. Dan Mazzou, Justin Lin, who was originally supposed to direct this but dropped out with Louis Leterrier coming in, and then Zach Dean. I never felt like this was written by people. This felt like it was written by a studio. Like, this felt like a film that was just... It's just a mess. It's a mess on so many levels. And not only that, there's way too much going on here. Like, I talked recently about the Galactic Star Cruiser, like how there's too much stuff going on in there, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I thought that fell apart. There's way too much going in here. They introduce way too many characters in these movies that you have to pay attention to. You not only have to pay attention to Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez and why do I feel like I'm missing some? No, Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez, because Paul Walker's no longer there. You have to pay attention to you have Tyrese Gibson in here. You have Ludacris in here. You have Nathaniel Emmanuel, who's been in the last couple of movies. Georgiana Bruce is the one I'm thinking of from the original film. You have Sung Kang. You have Scott Eastwood, who's been introduced in the series. Daniela Melchior, who's new to the series. Alan Ritchson. Helen Mirren, who was introduced in the last couple of movies. Brie Larson's a new character that's in this movie. Rita Moreno's a new character in this movie. Jason Momoa's a new character in this movie. They bring back Jason Statham. They bring back Dwayne Johnson. They bring back Gal Gadot. They bring back everybody in this movie. It's just like, guys, take it easy. It's just like you have to introduce so many characters, and you have to introduce these storylines, and they just don't. It just does not mesh together well here. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it to introduce all these characters. And you have only 2 hours and 20 minutes to really tell a good story here, and it just doesn't really fly here. It just really does not work here. The story overall is not really all that inventive. You don't really get a sense of these people you don't really get a sense of everybody. You don't really get a sense that this is an important story that you need to get behind, and it's never like that. Like, yeah, the visuals can look really nice. Sometimes the action sequences can look like a ton of fun, but there's no real heart to the film. There's no real motivation for me to keep joining in on this, but it just never really works. It never really flies with me, and I just really was let down. Everything that I thought was going to be bad about this movie is pretty much in here. Just way too much going on. Story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Too many characters to get attached to. And they're not really even characters. They're just names to throw on the big screen because, hey, we've seen these people before. Hey, Rita Moreno's popular again because of the West Side Story remake. Let's get her. Brie Larson's won an Academy Award. She's Captain Marvel. Throw her in there. Let's have Jason Momoa, who's Aquaman. Put him in there. Hey, Pete Davidson has a cameo in here. Dwayne Johnson's back again as Hobbs. Remember that crazy war between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson, which I'm willing to believe that never really happened. I think that was something that was created specifically to build marketing up for these movies because it never really felt like those two really hated each other. I'm sorry to say that. I know somebody's going to say out there that you're talking out of you know what, but that's just my feeling on it. I just never felt like these movies really. I just never thought that war never really was that important between Diesel and Johnson. I think that really wasn't that big of a deal. And yeah, Charlize Theron's back as Cypher because heaven forbid the most bland, monotone character from the last two movies. We need to bring her back because why not? It's just like I hate this character. She's the reason this series jumped the shark for me because in the first movie she is so bland and monotone and has this just dead stare. Like that's supposed to be threatening. That's supposed to make her a strong female character a strong female antagonist because she just looks blankly at you with this evil stare and just like it's just like. No, it's just no. You brought her because she's an Academy Award-winning actress. She's a notable actress, and you just told her just do nothing. Just really sit there and just look at the screen and just like you have a character right there. And just like no, that's not how this works. And in here, it's a stupid subplot they have with her and Letty. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just again, it feels like they're just throwing stuff at the wall, and you could tell they're trying to get back to what the original Fast and Furious films were about. Street racing. You see scenes where they're racing cars again. And again, that could be something pretty fun. But not in this movie. I should bring up Jason Momoa. I like Jason Momoa. I think he's a really good actor. I like him as Aquaman. But man, here, he's just not that interesting of a villain. I mean, he's just doing stuff just to do stuff. He's trying to be... Is there scenes where they're trying to give him a darker edge because to give him a personality. And it's just like... It doesn't really work that way, and this is how I know this film wasn't written by real people because nobody would write a character for Jason Momoa to play a bad guy, and have him just do things that you would think a person in a darker movie would do. Like here, let me put it this way: his villainous role in Bullet to the Head was more believable than this movie. At least that's my opinion on that front. And I also have this feeling that Vin Diesel is kind of sabotaging this series himself because. Let's put it this way. Back when they announced this movie, back when they announced Fast X coming out, was in development, I should say, he basically said every story deserves its ending. There are reasons for a finale. I think this franchise has deserved it. And you know what? He says we're going to do a two-part finale, and that makes sense because, Harry Potter did a two-part finale. I think they did it, them and the Avengers did it the best. The Hunger Games, not so much. But yeah, you do, for a series this long, it's okay to do a two-part finale to wrap it up, and that was said by Justin Lin before he got fired. And all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, Vin Diesel says, no, we're going to do another one. We're actually going to make it a 3-part finale to make it 12 films. It's just like, what have you done in this movie to really say this needs to be 3 films? Like, this barely constitutes one film as it is because you've just thrown so much stuff in there. And look, I get it. Guardians of the Galaxy is over. Your Marvel money's going away. You can't really open up a franchise outside of Fast and Furious because every time you try to, it fails miserably at the box office or it comes and goes. But Vin Diesel, you gotta let it go, man. You gotta do something else. Like, I love Vin Diesel. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a very good actor. He's proven he's been a very good actor over his career, but you just gotta let it go, man. You just gotta let the series go and just go do something else. Like, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again unless you have something to really give it this thing its own edge to it. And making this a 3-part movie is not it. Like, you're just basically just trying to keep yourself relevant because you can't really do anything else afterwards because it's just like I said, there's literally nothing going on here that makes me want to see more of these movies. Like, If it was a 2-part finale, maybe I can understand it, though. The fact that it's going to be now 3 parts, I wouldn't be surprised when the second part comes out, he says, I'm going to do 3 more of these. I literally have nothing else to do in my career. It's just like, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And he said 3 months ago, the 11th film was going to be the last installment. And then all of a sudden, he's just 2 months later, he's just like, no, I'm going to do it. No, I really want to feel like I want to do another one of these. I want to keep this series going. It's just like, fuck you, Vin Diesel. Fuck you and your family. And again, I love Vin Diesel, but you gotta let this go, man. You just gotta let this go at some point. And I know some of you out there are already complaining about, they know what these movies are. Why can't you just have fun? Why can't you just have fun? Turn your brain off and go have fun. Well, you know what? When I've said that about other movies too, everybody gone on me. It's like the Space Jam Space Jam: A New Legacy. I said the exact same thing. Turn your brain off and have fun with it. And everyone's just like, no, it's terrible because it has LeBron James in it. Which, okay. And the Jurassic World movies, they're dumb movies, but they're still fun. But they could still be fun movies. Some of them I don't really even love all the way through. But you know what? I still like parts of Dominion that say, you know what? This has some redeemable elements to it. And people got on me for that one, saying no, these are terrible movies. Thor: Love and Thunder is a stupid fun movie. People said the same thing, and I could name so many other movies here, but no, they all want me to just go along with this movie here because they know what they're doing. All they know is you're being too harsh on them. No, I'm trying to help this series try to stay relevant. It's just ridiculous that these movies are still coming out and they're not doing anything clever or fun with them whatsoever. It's just not fun anymore. I'm drained from watching these movies. I just can't really take these movies anymore because it's clear that they're not going to change. It's clear they're not going to do anything exciting or engaging to really make me want to come back and see these movies here. Will I still go see these movies for review purposes? Absolutely, but my hype for these movies is going to keep going down because I know what I've seen now from 3 of these movies. From 3 films of the series, and it's just I'm just over it at this point. I really am over it. I can't really get the enjoyment factor from these movies anymore because they're just rehashing the same stuff over and over again. Franchises like this, they keep thinking to themselves they're like Mission Impossible, or they're like the James Bond movies. But you know what? Those movies did more story-wise, they did more action-wise, they did more things better than these movies will ever do. After, Fury 7 should have been the stopping point. You lose one of your biggest stars, Paul Walker, he's dead, you give him a nice send-off, just end the series there. But nope, because that movie made money, we gotta keep the series going. If you're gonna keep the series going, you gotta do something different, do something unique or different, or something that brings it back to its original roots. Just do something different. Just don't keep throwing stuff at the wall and keep expecting us to keep buying into it, because we're not going to keep buying into it anymore. You can pretty much tell I really did not like this movie. I really did not like it. Some parts of it I thought were just alright, but I really just did not enjoy this movie at all. I'm drained. It's I'm tired of these movies. I really am not looking forward to watching any more of these movies, although I'm going to do it because of this right here, the show I'm doing. But my excitement's not going to get any better unless I see something that actually gives me the confidence to say, you guys are doing something different. I'm actually going to give this a benefit of the doubt, which I'm still going to do regardless. Like I said, I'm not going to just stop watching altogether. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But at least in this case, this series really did not work for me. This is probably my second least favorite movie of the year. It's right up there with 80 for Brady. 80 for Brady, I think, is just more offensive for what they were trying to do with that movie. It was nothing more than just sitting there. A girls' night movie, just have nothing on this. It's just so they can talk and not actually watch the movie. This movie is not that bad. There are elements in here that I did like, but they were very few and far between. I don't even think this is honestly the worst Fast and Furious movie. I still think Fate of the Furious and Tokyo Drift are still the worst of the worst. Like those movies, I just don't feel like they were trying as much. Tokyo Drift, I would say that Tokyo Drift, I'll give a credit for them saying, okay, we're gonna try to do the same thing, but let's do it with these different people, and it just didn't work out from a story perspective or a character perspective. And Fate of the Furious was just a rip-off of Fast and Furious 6, which in a way F9 was kind of a rip-off of Fast and Furious 7. I was actually surprised this wasn't them ripping off a rip-off in Fast and Furious 8, so bottom line here, I really did not like this movie. Like I said, I think it's the second worst movie of the year so far. And I haven't really seen a lot of bad movies. I've seen some pretty ones that have come close. I mean, White Man Can't Jump, the remake that just came out this week, and I just watched it on Hulu. That's definitely going to be on the worst of the year list because, man, you butchered a classic movie on that front. I'll delve more to that on the site itself. But as far as this movie goes, Fast X, this is definitely right up there. Because I put it up, it's the second worst movie I've seen this year. It's just lifeless at this point. They're just throwing stuff at the wall, asking themselves if anything is sticking, and just keep trying. There's too many characters to follow, too many storylines to follow. There's nothing about this movie that says this is good. This is the end of it all. No, this is just tells me this is the end of it all until you make us $1 billion, and then we're just gonna keep making these movies. This series will never end. This series will never end. They will never realize that this series needs to regroup. They need to reboot itself a little bit, go back to its roots, or do something different. It's just going to be the same thing over and over again. And quite frankly, I'm just done with it. So naturally, as you can tell here, I'm giving this movie a big thumbs down. I really did not like this movie. It's a disappointment. It's a massive disappointment considering how the series has fallen off since Furious 7. I'm just done with it, man. I'm just really, really done with it. But then again, I'm going to be watching the next film in 2 years. So, yeah. So, like I said, I'm just done with it. I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I gave it a chance, and it disappointed me big time. So that's my review of Fast X. Let me know your hate comments down below, telling me I'm crazy or all that, or just tell me what you thought of the movie overall down below. So, that's it for this episode of talking about the movies. Next week, of course, Disney's The Little Mermaid comes out. Another movie that looks like it could be another one like Fast X, except I'm a little bit more curious about. I'm more excited about Little Mermaid than I was about this, but at the same time, there's definitely some signs that Little Mermaid could actually not be that great of a film. But again, like I said, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens next week. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you guys for watching. Like I said, let me know your thoughts down below, what you thought of the Fast X. And I'll see you guys next time. So until then, take care.